Well, hi there. I'm going to show you how to do my Terra magic stitch and do a shawl or scarf. So here's what the stitch looks like, and this is in a number 4 yarn, and it was done on the wide gauge 3/4 inch loom. So this is what it looks like. And if you used a bulkier yarn, you wouldn't have it quite so lacy, but you would still have all this amazing texture. If we turn it to the side so you can see how much texture it has. It has an amazing amount of texture. Very fast, very easy to do. And the ends together. The cast on and cast off matches quite well. And what was really amazing with this is how the colors ended in the same on the same colors to give me a nice long scarf. Look at that, isn't that something? How often does that happen? I was going to make it into an infinity scarf, but I'm certainly not going to now that it turned out like that on the ends. They're just too matched up. Okay, so I'm going to get another piece to show you. And this is the same stitch done with Shawl in a Ball. Color is Restful Rainbow. And look at how lacy it is and such a fine yarn on a wide gauge. So it's quite a beautiful stitch. Oh, and the other side looks good too. Okay, and then I was going to show you the other side of this one. I forgot to do that. So this is what the stitch looks like on the other side. It looks nice on the other side as well. Okay, so I'll get out the loom and we'll get started. Okay, so we're just going to set up the loom, and I've got these ring markers. They're for knitting needles, and I've got the medium size and I've got the small size, and I'm just going to take one of the mediums, or 2 of the mediums. No, I don't need 2. Yeah, I guess I do. So I'm going to take 2 of them. And then I'm going to just mark this peg, and you can mark these pegs any way that you want, or if you're going to remember, you don't have to mark them, but we're going to be working in 2 peg pairs, and we're always going to be working the same peg pairs, so you need to make sure that you know which peg pairs that you are stitching together. So the edge is also 2 pegs, so these 2 pegs will be the edge, and then these 2 pegs will be wrapped together, so I'm not going to bother marking them. And I'm going to get out these little markers. I guess I'll just do the reds. Should stand out more. And so I won't mark those 2. I'll know they go together. I'll mark these 2, and these just come right over. I got them on Amazon, but I did want to show them on one of these videos in case somebody wants to get them. Here's what they look like, Captain O-rings. But I was very happy when I got them because they stay on the loom, and it makes it really easy to knit without picking them up in the stitches. Okay, the other thing is this knits up on the small side width-wise, so you're going to probably want to make it a little bigger than you did. I made the scarf that I showed you on 18 pegs, and if I had to do it again, I would do it on about 22, although I love that scarf anyway, the way it is, but I make it a little wider because of the width that I like my scarves. And but it gets long really fast. Okay, actually I'm not going to do the red one on here because I'm only going to do 10 pegs to demonstrate this stitch. So there we go, and I'll just use another one of these yellow markers of the mediums. There we go. There we go. So the loom's all marked. And that just tells us, so these will be the end pegs, so we'll only be making 3. You know, this is not going to be a very wide scarf at all, but it's enough to demonstrate it for you. So we'll get started doing that. And the color on the scarf that I showed you was landscape yarn, and the color is Skyline Horizon. Okay, so I'm just going to do a slip knot, and I'm going to slip it on the number 1 peg, and I'm going to slip it so that the short yarn is on the inside and my working yarn here is on the outside, like that. And I'm just going to take my loom hook, insert it in, and pull up a yarn. There we go, like that. Pull up a loop and pull that tight there. And then we just take the working yarn, put it through the loop, and tighten it up. And tighten it up. Tighten it up. There, very easy. Nice and slow for you. There. And so this stitch, it's interesting how I developed this stitch. Actually, I was making a blanket and I thought, gee, there really isn't a blanket edging that I like on this because it's slightly curling and I want to put something on it to edge it so that I can get rid of the curl. And I just didn't see very much of anything that I thought would be easy and fast to do in loom knitting. So I thought, well, let's think about this and let's make some blanket edgings, and I did. I made a series of blanket edgings and they worked fine. And then just the other day I was thinking, just a minute, if that works on a blanket edging, why wouldn't it work on a piece of fabric? And sure enough, it did, and I named it Terra Magic. So anyway, here we are all casted on, and then we're going to do 1 row of owl eye. So first we're just going to knit over this peg to make an end on it, and then we're going to do the first peg owl eye. So we're just going to knit it over, and we're going to take the working yarn from behind and wrap over it and the next peg. This is my owl eye stitch. And I have more videos, just look on my YouTube channel at Owl Eye Stitch. Okay, and now wherever the working yarn ends up, we're going to call that peg 1. So we're at peg 1, and we wrap in front of peg 1 over peg 2 and just knit it off. We're at peg 1 over peg 1 over peg 2, knit them off. And we just keep doing that all the way to the end of the row. Just like that. And then we're ready to start the Terra Magic stitch. So I'm going to show you now how to make the Terra Magic stitch. So we're at peg 1 and 2, and we're going to just wrap them like this together and knit over. And that's all we're going to do for the edge right now, because our first row we're just going to start to build up, and when we come back to do this, we want it to balance with the edge. And actually I think we do 1 wrap on it to balance it better. So we wrapped it once, we're going to go behind it and wrap over it and just knit it like that. Yes, because this one has so many wraps on it. Okay, so now we're going to wrap peg 3 and 4. And we just go over peg 3 and 4, and we're going to be nice and loose. And then we just knit over. Okay? And then we come behind and we go behind and wrap those same 2 pegs again, and that's 2. And then one more time, 3 times, we go behind and over and wrap it again. It's the same way in my blanket edging that I call the 2 peg frilly stitch. This is a 2 peg frilly wrap. Okay, so then we go to the next 2 peg pair, go in front, knit them over, and then just go behind the 2 pegs you just wrapped, in front of them, nice and loose, knit it over again, and then knit it over the 3rd time. And that is all there is to it. You just keep doing that stitch, and you're even going to be doing it on the sides. Okay, over the next 2 peg pair, knit over, wrap the 2 pegs again, working yarn goes behind and over and wrapping the 2 pegs again. This is number 3. And then we go to the edge and we're going to do the same thing. 1. Oop. That's the thing about this landscape yarn. It can split pretty easy there. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and I'm just going to pull it down a little bit because your yarn can bunch up. There we go. And then what we're going to do is just give it a little bit of a snug up. And then we go over in front and we're going to wrap it 3 more times. We're going to head back the other direction. So 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to pull that down. Okay, then we go over. Where'd my yarn go? We go over the next 2 peg pair right here, and we wrap them, or we knit them over, I mean, and then we rewrap. We're going this direction now, so we're going this way, and that's 2, and then we wrap it again, and that's 3, and then over to the next 2 peg pair. 1, 2, 3. And you notice we're getting quite a buildup of yarn here. That's how, look at, you see how much we've done already? This goes up so fast. Okay. We go over to the next 2 peg pair. 1, 2, 3. Well, and if anyone wants to know what yarn I'm using here for the demonstration, it's landscape yarn, but it's just some leftover yarn from one of the yarns, and I even have another little piece to attach if I don't have enough. Okay, and then we go over to here. And now we're going to go, yeah, make sure I did all my stitches on there, and yes, I did. I get talking, I get a bit distracted sometimes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then we snug it up a little bit this way and come back over this way, and now we do 3 this way. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to pull it down, go over to the next peg pair. 1, 2, 3. See? I wasn't lying to you. It is a really fast, easy stitch. 1, 2, 3. This is just the 3rd row. 1, 2, 3. And then over here, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we've only done our 3 this way, so I'm just going to tighten it, but let's take a look at what we've got, and there you go. Here's the stitch coming. Here's the edge. Here's the edge on this side. Here's what the back's looking like. And we've got this much, this fast. So let's just do a little bit more. And then I'll show you how to bind off. Okay, so if you have to stop anywhere, you're here, so you know you're at the edge. So now you just do your 3 wraps to go this way. 1, 2, and 3. Oop. And just pull it down. 1, 2, and 3. One, 2, and 3. One, 2, and 3. Oh yes, and I'd like to just remind people, and if you didn't know, that there is a little gear at the lower rightish side of the video, and you can actually click on that and you'll be able to slow down the video if you need to slow it down. So that can be handy. You can watch it in slow motion if you need to really watch it slower. So I'll do my 3 here. And then 3 coming back. And 3. And then just pull it down. Okay, I'm going to go faster now. And that's all it is. You're just wrapping it 3 times. The 2 pegs together, always the same 2 peg pair. The stitch can also be done in the round. It looks different done in the round because you're only going one direction, so you don't get that wavy effect. It's a lot straighter, but it still works fine in the round, and the reverse on the round looks different than the reverse on here. It's actually it looks really nice, and it'd be totally reversible if you wanted to do that. Okay, so then we're just going to wrap it the 3 times here because we're going to be doing a bind off. So we're just ending at this row. Okay, so there we go. Here's what you're looking like. It's still stretched quite tight here, but as you look down here, you can see how it's going to look right here. And just to show you how much smaller it is, you see that the peg is here and we're down here. So you want to actually use a lot more pegs than you normally use for well, not a lot more, but more pegs than you usually use. So if you're going to use 18, I would use 22, for example. But it's very long, and it stretches more this way Well, it actually stretches a lot that way too, but it tends to hold more this way. And that edge looks really good with it. And you might want to take a closer look at the edge. So the edge matches quite nicely with the pattern, and it looks like this braided effect on the side. Piece maybe not there. You can see the braid better that way, and the back looks like that. So that's what the edge looks like. So now we will be binding off. So what we do is we just measure 1, go down there, we come back 2 because we want to be long enough, and then they say, most people say do it about 3 times, so I'm going to do it close to 3 times. And I'm just going to put you on pause because I have to find a scissors and a needle. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right here. There we go, and I have my needle. I'm threading the needle. Okay, and I'm just going to give this a little tug here so it's not too loose. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go down. So I'm going to go inside this loop on this peg and put the working yarn through it and snug it up, and then I'm going to go back up the first peg. Okay, snug it up a bit, and I'm going to go around the second peg and in front of it, and then I'm going to go down this peg and then up the second peg, snugging it up as I go, and then around between the 2 pegs and around the front. So basically that's all we're going to be doing, is we're going to be going down the peg in front, back to the peg we had done before, and then going around. So down the peg and around and up the peg. And around, and then down the next peg, up the peg before. Let's get this close right now, and we're always pulling it tight, and then between the 2 pegs we just did, around, and then we'll be going down this next peg, making sure the working yarn doesn't get all hung up the peg before, and around, tightening it as I go, down, up, and around, down, and then up and around, and then down the last one. Whoop, and the needle came out. So we better redo the needle. Okay, and then up. And there, we've gone through every peg. So we're just going to go back down the first one, like that. And I'm going to come down it again, like that. There, just to secure it more, and then you'll just be weaving in your end. So now you can take it off the loom. Okay. And then we just stretch out the work. Okay, so here's what it looks like. And it looks like this on the other side. And the two, the cast on and the cast off, match pretty nicely. And there you go. There's how to make it. So I hope you enjoyed that, and for now, goodbye.